Elon Musk and the Doge boys have gotten right to work investigating all of the ridiculous expenses and grants handed out by the federal government and gutting what's unnecessary. This is all waste that their team says they've found while auditing the agencies, some of which many Americans didn't know existed. First, we've got $100,000 to study if tequila or gin makes sunfish more aggressive. My bet is tequila. Almost $1 million to study if cocaine makes Japanese quail more sexually promiscuous. $750,000 to study if the moon landing line was, quote, one small step for man, or, quote, one small step for a man.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The study was inconclusive. $1.5 million to Game On New York to expand the video gaming industry. Oh no. No. Objection, we're not doing that. $388,000 to Columbia University. Here's a quick refresher on the high-level academics happening up at Columbia. Last time I checked, they have an enormous endowment fund, so I'm really not sure why the taxpayer is helping them out. $45 million for a diversity and inclusion scholarship in Burma. $3 million for girl-centered climate action in Brazil. $289,000 for diverse birdwatcher groups. Note, this is not about the observation of exotic bird species. This is for diversity among the avian aficionados themselves, because birdwatchers who are all white, I mean, that's a huge problem, you see? $28 million on licensing fees for a green camouflage pattern on Afghan National Army uniforms. $2.5 million on a Super Bowl ad for the census. The National Comedy Center in Jamestown, New York received a $1.7 million grant for holograms of dead comedians. Like, it's not that we're against cultural enrichment, but that's an obscene amount of money for something like that. Like, who's signing off on that? Poll the taxpayer. How much do you want a hologram of Lucille Ball? Like, how badly? Time for the racism spending section. In 2024 alone, the federal government allowed the National Institutes of Health to spend $125,000 on examining anti-racist healing in nature, $151,000 on perceived racism, cardiovascular disease risk, and neurocognitive aging, and $516,000 on effects of racism on brain and pathways to health disparities. And that doesn't include the $611,000 allocated to evaluating microaggressions among Latinx individuals with obesity. Wow, that's like a identity politics salad. $6.9 million paid to study smart toilets that recognize the user's anal print. And don't worry, we're assured that your data from your behind will be stored in a secure cloud. $1.5 million to use kittens in a study to analyze motion sickness. How are the two related? I don't know. $419,000 to determine if lonely rats sought cocaine at a greater frequency than happy rats. I mean, this is essential research. $2.3 million for the NIH to inject dogs with cocaine. Okay, where's PETA? Where is PETA when you need them? $75,000 for a Harvard study on lizards being blown off trees with leaf blowers.
Harvard researchers wanted to know how tropical lizards survive hurricanes.
So they came up with a plan to use a high-tech device, a leaf blower, to observe how lizards hold onto a pole during intense winds.
You know, I really do feel for the lizards. That's terrible. In 2024 alone, the State Department spent $2.1 million on border security. Okay, good. For Paraguay, USAID dropped $20 million on Ahlan Simsim, a Sesame Street-style show for Iraqi children. And there was $123,000 sent to Kyrgyzstan to teach children how to go viral on social media. Oh, great. Very essential skills, yep. The National Endowment for the Arts awarded Philadelphia's Bearded Ladies Cabaret, a $10,000 grant to support a cabaret show on ice focused on climate change. And the State Department spent $4.8 million of your hard-earned money on influencers. Yeah, we really need more influencers. All right, now we've got to talk about the Politico subscriptions. Here's what the legacy media labeled right-wing conspiracy theories.
I can confirm that the more than 8 million taxpayer dollars that have gone to essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the American taxpayers' dime will no longer be happening. The DOGE team is working on canceling those payments now.
CNN called Caroline Leavitt's claim bogus. Then, one sentence later, they cleared up any misconceptions. All federal agencies combined spent $8.2 million last year on Politico Pro, according to USAspending.gov. So yes, Politico received $8.2 million in taxpayer dollars. This is the same Politico that published the story about 51 intelligence officials who called the Hunter Biden laptop Russian disinformation. It's the same Politico that called Joe Biden's aviator sunglasses his diplomatic luck charm. Would they have been so kind to Biden and his family if millions in annual subscriber revenue weren't on the line? Can't say for sure. It was also discovered that NASA had some of these Politico Pro subscriptions as well, 500,000 worth, until DOGE assured these were canceled as well. DOGE also found some waste, probably a lot, at the Department of Education, whose days may be numbered. They tweeted out, instead of improving outcomes for students, here's where taxpayer dollars were going. $4.6 million to coordinate Zoom and in-person meetings, and $3 million to write a report that showed that prior reports were not utilized by schools. These are just some of the wild, wasteful government spending that's been gutted by DOGE. Here's the grand total. And we aren't even a month in. Now let's turn to the portion of the program where we cover the inefficiency in our federal government, from accounting incompetencies to abysmal workplace occupancies. The Pentagon failed 7 audits in a row. Between improper payments to federal programs, pandemic relief, and Ukraine aid, the Pentagon cannot account for more than $824 billion spent. Billion with a B? Agencies are also paying for massive headquarters space when many federal employees have been working from home for almost 5 years now. Quote, agencies are using, on average, just 12% of the space in their DC headquarters. For example, the Department of Agriculture, with space for more than 7,400 people, averaged 456 workers each day. That's 6% occupancy? Not anymore. On day one of his admin, President Trump declared, heads of all departments and agencies in the executive branch of government shall, as soon as practicable, take all necessary steps to terminate remote work arrangements and require employees to return to work in person at their respective duty stations on a full-time basis. This was met, pretty predictably, with some backlash. The narrative now is that the senior and skilled employees will leave, and the federal government won't know what to do. The Hill cited past return-to-work policies to suggest that, if history is any indication, this sweeping policy, along with the smooth off-ramp of sweeping government employee buyout, could usher in a new wave of resignations that would undermine the very efficiency it seeks to enhance. But that's just the point. The White House is hoping for 5 to 10% of employees to resign. 4% took the buyout option, and Trump is headed toward more layoffs. And when asked about that senior and skilled idea, Caroline Leavitt had a great response.
Is there any concern that we risk losing people with years of experience like doctors and let's say scientists?
Well, most doctors who work in actual hospitals and medical institutions have to show up to the office. We know that employees are more productive and more efficient when they are working in an in-office environment, and that's what this administration expects, and I think that's what American taxpayers expect. Don't forget, it's the American people who are funding this government, and they deserve people who are actually showing up to work on their behalf.
And a lot of this waste and excess in government agencies is being found by kids. Genius engineers, some of them college dropouts. For more on that, click here.